Hi, this is Danny Love from Key High School up in Northeast Iowa doing a presentation from Morningside College on traumatic brain injuries. Traumatic brain injury can happen anytime you take a blow to the head. It doesn't matter what kind. Some signs and symptoms of a mild traumatic brain injury includes loss of consciousness for even a few seconds, memory or concentration problems, headaches, dizziness, nausea, vomiting, sensitivity to light or sound, feeling depressed or anxious, or having difficulty sleeping or sleeping more than normal. A more moderate or severe traumatic brain injury does not mean that the mild TBIs are less important to deal with. You need to make sure you take care of everything. But the moderate or more severe have a little bit greater problems, some loss of coordination, loss of bladder control or bowel control, some slurred speech, profound confusion. All right? They can manifest in convulsions or seizures, or you could have dilation of one or both of the pupils of the eyes. That's an easy way to check and see if somebody's had their bell rung. With infants and toddlers, they can't really speak, so you need to pay attention, and so that they can't tell you what's going on, so you need to pay extra attention. They can have change in nursing or eating habits. They could be unusually or easily irritable. They could have an inability to be consoled. The little guy keeps crying and crying and crying, and then you find out that he accidentally rolled off the couch and bumped his head. You should probably take him to the doctor and check things out just to make sure. Because falls is one of the main causes, especially of little kids, for traumatic brain injuries. All right. As they get older, they decide to do a little bit more crazier things. They jump out of trees. They do this. They do that. They're just little kids, and they bump their head. Also, with elderly people, they succumb to a lot of falls, and that's the main cause of elderly traumatic brain injuries. For most other people, vehicle-related collision. If they're in a car accident, motorcycle, bicycle, any type of thing where they can knock their head and have it roll around a little bit. Violence, you get into a fight, you get punched in the head. There is a chance you could have a traumatic brain injury. Sports are a big one, especially for high school students. In football, there are a lot of kids, especially now with there being a big crackdown in college and the NFL on concussions. Concussion is a form of a traumatic brain injury. Veterans coming back from war, they've dealt with traumatic brain injuries as well. They've had explosive blasts they've been in the vicinity, and the waves there, they too can knock the brain around a little bit, and they come back to us back in the States with some sort of traumatic brain injury. What happens in the head during a TBI is the brain gets knocked around, the tissues rip, tear, they can bleed, some of the the synapses can be too far apart, and you lose function in the brain, or you have bleeding on the brain. Since it's not coming out of your head, you don't really know that you're bleeding. So anytime you get a good shot to the head, you need to go to the doctor, and they can do a scan of your brain, and they can check and see if you have any type of hematoma. Some complications that can arise from a TBI. You can have some altered consciousness, coma, vegetative state, minimally conscious state, seizures, or you can have some infections from any time there's an open wound. Complications that arise from traumatic brain injuries, cognitive problems. These are the things that will manifest in school, your memory, your learning, your reasoning, problem solving. Communication problems, you have trouble speaking, things of that nature. Behavior changes, you're quick to anger. You have an inaccurate self-image, and you engage in risky behavior. Some emotional changes, you can become more depressed, irritable, and you have a lack of motivation. Sensory problems, you have a persistent ringing in your ears from what could have been a concussion or getting your bell rung. Difficulty recognizing objects, blind spots, double vision, things of that nature. All in all, traumatic brain injuries are a large problem. There's about 1.7 million of them every year in the United States, with about 50,000 deaths resulting from them. So anytime there's a bump to the head, make sure you check for any of these signs, symptoms, or whatnot. And if it's deemed severe enough by a doctor, you get them checked out. Thank you very much.